Good morning. Today, let's talk about, from what I can gather, is the 8 major treatments that you can get for lipedema. Now, I've been looking up all options that we have available to us, and I'm going to bring them to you in cheapest, because let's face it, it's all going to be dependent on what we can afford, to the dearest option. And I've got my lists here, and I've been watching all kinds of videos as I normally do. And this is pretty much what we've got available to us at the time of filming this with the research that is available. So let's get into it. Number one, a low carb diet. No matter what you come across in the lipedema world, it seems to be low carb is the best option for our way of eating. So I have come across carnivores, ketovores, ketogenic, Mediterranean, the RAD diet. There's so many, but what they seem to have in common all the way along is low, simple carbohydrates. Okay, so leaving the bread behind, leaving the pasta, the cakes, the cookies, all the simple carbs that we kind of know are no good for us, but infiltrate our world because they're convenient and they usually help us to quell a craving, whether it's emotional or nutritional. I've said in other videos, convenience is killing us. And certainly as people with lipedema, convenience will make our lipedema worse. If you're going to have a cake, make the cake from scratch. At least, although it's simple carbs, you know what's gone into it, and you'll ditch all the other inflammatory items, the numbers, the preservatives, all the things that go into the ones that we buy off the shelf. So that's the first one, is a low carb diet. And I have found for me personally that if I stick to a mostly carnivore diet 80% of the time, not perfect at all, I seem to keep everything on an even keel. So that's what works for me. So you have to work out what works for you. And the only way to do that is to literally trial different things. You might be able to handle complex carbohydrates, the rices, the grains, the old-fashioned grains, maybe not so much the wheat, but well, that's your call. But the more you understand your body and how it works, and if you introduce one thing at a time, Nutrition with Judy, she's a channel, and she believes in using the carnivore diet as an elimination diet to start off with, to go, okay, where are we at? We've been on carnivore for 4 weeks. Our symptoms have abated. Everything's kind of steady. Do we start bringing things in one thing at a time? Much like when you're first feeding a baby and you're trying little things. What do? Try new foods on our babies. We'll give them one thing for a few days. And if they're okay with that, then we'll do another thing. Carnivore is a great place to start, but at the very least, you need to remove the refined carbohydrates from your diet. Number 2 on the list, exercise. Now, diet and exercise, we all sort of go, oh, right? But there are very different reasons why, as somebody with lipedema, I need to move. And that's to keep the lymphatics flowing and fluid so that they go through our body and work their way out into the subclavian veins, into our bloodstream, where we get rid of things. If we are sitting around and not moving, a lymphatic fluid is like butter. So when it's cold, it's hard. Like you put butter in the fridge, it's hard. You put butter out on the bench on a hot day, it will become liquid. Lymphatics work the same way. So the more we move, the better chance we have of that lymphatic fluid getting to where it needs to be and leaving our body, rather than soaking through into the subcutaneous tissues where it becomes the nodules of lipedema. That is my understanding of how it's working and why exercise will help to mitigate the growth of lipedema fat. I hate exercise. I love walking around shops. I'll do that all day long. But exercise is just not something I love. However, the more I do of it, the better I feel about it. So I think it's just a matter of getting your mind in the game and understanding why we need to do it. And I think that the love for it grows, but I'll keep you posted on that one.
That's 7 without stopping. Complete jelly legs. Now I need to sit down.
Okay, number 3, compressions. Now, I have not used compressions At the time of filming, I have actually ordered a lower grade compression. My understanding is that we need to have a compression with the mercury count. I don't know how they say the word of mercury in the compressions of between 20 and 30. So I have found one called Fanka, Fanka, that has 23 or 25, I think. They look lovely, and I'm going to start with that. I do have other leggings that are quite firm on me, so whether or not they behave in the same fashion, I will continue to try these. But being that I live in a very hot climate and being that I will eventually move to a very hot climate, I'm not sure how they track, and I'm not sure what they will do for me at this point in time, because my legs no longer feel heavy. My legs no longer feel pain like they did before I lost the weight. So whether or not the compressions make that much difference to me, I won't know until I try. But they're definitely always on the list of treatments for women with lipedema. The thing with compressions is that they can be very expensive and they are very hard to put on. And so if you spend a lot of money on one of these lovely compressions and you just cannot get them on and therefore you don't wear them, then to me that's a huge waste of money, and you're just going to feel guilty every time you look at it, which is going to increase your cortisol and stress levels and make things worse. So I'm very much about, how about you just spend the money on what you think you will wear first or use first or do first, and go from there, work your way up. The leggings that I've ordered are not terribly over the top compression wise like some of the brands that are out there. So I'm hoping that they will be enough for me, that it's a bit of a stretch, so more than what I'm used to, but still okay to wear in a hot environment and not so difficult to put on. But time will tell, and I will come back to you on that one that I have decided to try. Okay, number 4, manual lymphatic drainage. So MLD, it's kind of, you see it across different forums as MLD, and it is very different to a normal massage. And this was how I was diagnosed many years ago, because I went to a lymphatic drainage specialist or massage lady, and she was the one that said to me, she looked at my legs and she goes, "Oh, you're a lippy lady." And I was like, what is that? I don't understand, tell me more. And so it was a huge revelation. Now, I have never been the person that enjoyed a hard massage. My husband loves a really, like, get in there, like, go harder, go harder. Thai massage, you know, where they twist you into knots, that kind of thing. Not for me. I need gentle. And now I know why I always need gentle massage. And that is because lipedema is also called painful fat syndrome. So that was like oh, that's why I don't like those massages. Manual lymphatic drainage is very, very different. And it is very much just like this kind of thing. It's so light, you just wonder if anything's even going on. Generally, they start out by sort of putting pressure points on the parts that it drains into your bloodstream. And then it's sort of like up here, because if these parts of your lymphatics are not draining properly, then there's no point in doing manual lymphatic drainage anywhere else on the body, because it'll have a backlog here. But it is just so gentle, and it's just like somebody just doing it's so bizarre. But the next day, you feel like you've been hit by a truck. I'm telling you now, until you've experienced it, you just think, oh, what did that do? That was nothing. And, you know, you're dropping $120. Well, in Australia, actually, it's more like I have it done through a physiotherapist. Who's trained in lymphatic drainage, and at the time of filming it was $180 Australian dollars. Okay, so that's maybe, I'm going to say 120, 110 US dollars. So that's, I get money back from my private health. That makes it not quite so expensive. But if you've got an insurance or something like that that covers manual lymphatic drainage, I feel like it does help move things along and stops your lymphatics from becoming stagnant. And it's a lovely experience. It's, as I said, it doesn't hurt. And generally, as somebody with lymphedema, you avoid massages that you think, oh, that's going to hurt. Number 5, let's talk about supplements. Okay, now supplements, you can't out supplement a bad diet. So cycle back to the first one we talked about and low carb diet. And if you're not doing that yet, then I kind of feel like this is tough love Kylie coming out, that the supplements are a little bit pointless. Okay, because you cannot, it's like exercise. You cannot exercise or supplement your way out of a bad diet. You really can't. It's the thing that's going to move the dial the quickest in your health journey. If you do want to look into supplements, let's look at just the basics. I'm not going to name different ones specifically, but what you're wanting to supplement is anything that will reduce your inflammation, perhaps keep your hormones level. So if there's anything there that you feel like for you specifically, that's why it's hard to say certain supplements, because everybody's really different with the comorbidities and the co-issues they've got going on. Anything for inflammation is probably going to help. But one of the biggest things that's talked about is omega 3s. Now, this is another situation of you can't out supplement a bad diet. Omega 3s often are low simply because we're having far too many omega 6s. If you're still having a ton of omega 6s, which is your seed oils, if you're still cooking with canola oil, sunflower oil, all those sorts of oils, and you're still eating processed foods, which are full of those oils, then you cannot possibly have enough omega 3s supplementally to be able to counteract those omega 6s. You're going to be far better off reducing those omega 6s, and that's what will reduce your inflammation, because you will automatically change the ratio of your omega 3s to omega 6s. We should be having a ratio of 1:1 of omega 3 to omega 6s. Currently, the average stats are around 1 to 20, and I've even seen it as high as 1 to 40. So 1 part omega 3 to 40 parts omega 6s. And omega 6s, once they're out of that ratio of 1:1, they are highly inflammatory to our body. That's why everybody who's anyone is talking about seed oils, processed foods. Remove those two things and you stand a chance of bringing that ratio back into the way it should be for our health. So before you go buying all the anti-inflammatories, start looking at what can you remove from your body that will act like an anti-inflammatory, because you're no longer having it. It's this kind of stuff that we have to just be a little bit more pragmatic about and use a little bit more common sense. I think we've been taught to believe that a pill for every ill, right? So it's the same in the natural world. Oh, we'll just take vitamin C, we'll just take vitamin D, we'll just do all these things that's going to just, doesn't matter what else I do as long as I take that supplement. No, no. Again, we cannot out supplement and we cannot out exercise a bad diet. Bottom line. Okay, number 6, we have got the pneumatic pump. Now, if you've got access to one of these, it's definitely worth trying. Now, I found a place in this very small town that I live in that actually rented a pneumatic pump out. And this was before I lost 60 kilos, 130 pounds. I went along and I was prepared to rent it out for, I think it was a week. It was going to cost $150 to rent for the week from memory. This was a few years ago. I went along and I first tried to put the legs on over my legs. Wouldn't fit, wouldn't close up. I'm not sure yet whether you can get different size leg things that go over your legs, but please make sure that if you're ordering one of these or you're renting one of these, that they will fit your legs, because at the time it did not fit my legs. Luckily the lady was like, oh no, I'm not going to hold you to the rental because clearly they don't fit you. I haven't gone back, and I should probably go back now because I know that they would fit me now, and have a go at it and see if it makes any difference at all to my inflammation, to my legs. As you know, I take measurements all the time. That's how I track what's working for me and what's not working for me. I don't know how you track what's going on for you, but if you don't have some way of tracking things, then you're never going to know what is helping you and what is harming you. So, or what's just not doing anything, you know. So pneumatic pump is meant to help the venous return, the lymphatic return, so that our lymphatics pump better. That's literally what it's doing. It's pumping it from our feet back up to our heart and back up through the body and out through the subclavian veins where it needs to be released. It's kind of like if you've been in hospital in the recent years, they have pumps that they put on your legs because you're not exercising, so it keeps everything moving. These are not cheap. I have seen some online for 2,000-3,000 Australian dollars. So that's not in my wheelhouse. I don't know about you. But it might be. But as I said, we're getting towards the higher end of what you can do for yourself. And from what I can tell and from what I've read online, people find them extremely useful, particularly if you're immobile at this sort of point in time. Then $2,000 or $3,000 is probably worth every cent when it comes to your health not degrading any further. So consider those and see what you can find. See if you can rent one near you at a lower price to just see if it helps in your situation. Okay, number 7. Now, this probably should have come before the pneumatic pump now that I think about it, price wise, but depends on how long you use it for. Okay, so these are the GLP-1s. Now, they are proving to be useful in lipedema, particularly in reducing the pain. Okay, so it does not, like bariatric surgery, I had gastric sleeve, it does not take away the lipedema fat. It takes away all other fat or helps you lose the other fat, but not the lipedema fat. And GLP-1s are the same. Some studies have been found that the GLP-1s that are naturally occurring in our body are not so much there with people with lipedema. So there's definitely a reason to try these. I don't know about you, but where I am, it's about $500 for a month supply. I know somebody who's taking Manjaro, so I only know that price because I was able to be nosy. So that's a consideration, but 1 month isn't going to do it. And if you need this ongoing, it's affording it for the long term, you know. So even if you've got private health that covers some of it, it may only cover you for a couple of months a year. Are you willing to pay that? But I definitely have seen lots of situations where it has helped the individuals to reduce the pain levels and to be able to get out and move more. Weight loss, I haven't seen much in the way of weight loss that's not lipedema fat, even with the Mounjaro with people with lipedema and the Ozempic, but that's not to say they're not out there. I just haven't read any. I think that any way that we can reduce our other weight, our fat that's not lipedema fat, that's been the mind-blowing bit for me after weight loss surgery. So even though I still have lipedema legs, if you've seen other videos, you can see very clearly I still have lipedema legs. I've had my arms done, so I'm keeping that at bay. What the weight loss does is just makes everything else easier. So yeah, I may have to cover my legs to feel like I look nice for me. It may not be for you, but for me. But I walk easier, you know. To go for a walk now, I don't put up a big argument anymore because it's like, oh, we'll just go for a walk. It doesn't hurt. That's the point. So any weight that you can lose that is not lipedema weight is worth the effort and the cost in my world. I would highly recommend weight loss surgery. I never thought I'd hear myself say that because I always thought I'd be able to get rid of it naturally and doing it my way. But no, with lipedema fat, it attracts normal fat faster than the average person does. Dr. Leslyn Keith talks about this, and I was like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, right, that's why, you know, we just have to look at a cream cake or whatever, and we just like our legs go like this. That's why. It's because the lipedema fat attracts other fat. I don't know the mechanism behind it. But yeah, if you want to find out more about that, Google Dr. Leslyn Keith on YouTube, because it was one of the lectures that she did around lipedema that I learned that. I was like, oh, it makes so much sense. So at least now with the gastric sleeve, I don't have the other fat and I'm just keeping the lipedema fat from growing. That's where I'm at with my journey. If you need a GLP-1 for that, there are natural GLP-1s. So like berberine is a natural GLP-1. I have actually tried berberine and it does lower your hunger. There's no doubt about that. Consider those sorts of options if the actual cost of the Ozempic, Mounjaro, there's a few different kinds, I think, is out of your reach financially. Then look at all the natural GLP-1s and see what you can combine into your life that's at a more reasonable cost level. And finally, number 8, surgery. Surgery is not cheap. It is the dearest of all options. And here's the kicker. So many people think that, oh, it's the surgery will just fix everything. However, my understanding is they won't do surgery on anyone at any point in time. So if I had have rocked up to a surgeon at 130 kilos and said, oh, can you just, whack it all, get rid of it all? It would have been a hard no. I would have had to lose weight to a certain degree for them to be able to do that on me anyway. My arms, and I'll put pictures up, in Australia cost $25,000. I got a fair chunk of that back through private health. I had to prove that it was medically necessary, which it was at this point in time. This is not something that you can jump into, without of at least being fairly steady with your weight. So if your weight's going up, I don't think that they will consider this for you. But here's the thing, you have surgery, and I've had surgery, and they've done the liposuction and they've taken out the lipedema nodules and all that kind of thing. But if I was to eat lots of seed oils and processed foods and junk foods, that kind of thing, that can come back. I think we get in our head again, this pill for every ill, this one fix, and I can't have surgery because I just can't afford it. It's not like the magic bullet. It really isn't. It helps you along your journey, but if you don't change the lifestyle, if you don't stick to the low carb diet, if you don't move your body, if you don't up level all those other areas of your life, it will come back. And I have seen this in groups that I follow, of lipedema group. I'm very quiet in them. I just follow and I read because often they're very negative and I don't like that. But I'm trying to learn more about lipedema and what I have to cope with for the rest of my life. So therefore I read other people's experiences. And one of the biggest things that I come across is, oh yeah, I had my legs done, but that was a year ago and they're already growing back. And I can see that they're saying it like, oh, it's out of my control that the lipedema fat is growing back. I don't believe that's true. I believe it's actually continued to eat in the same way that you ate to grow it in the first place. You're not moving, you're just contributing to it growing again. And to me, if you're going to spend that huge amount of money, you don't want it coming back. And that's what most of this channel's about, is me sharing what I'm doing as I've lost weight or as I have, surgeries done, and there will be more surgeries to come. How do I stop this coming back? I don't want that to come back. That would be such a huge waste of money for a start, but it's heartbreaking. I know how good I feel now. So if I have more surgeries and then I just don't worry about the oils and the processed foods and just go, oh, what the hell, enjoy my life. I'm 55 next birthday. Just enjoy yourself. What a waste. And now that I know how good it feels to feel like this, why would I want to go back to hating walking, hating getting out of the house, hating running around? I just wouldn't want to do that. I don't know about you, but I think by addressing each one of these treatment levels as you can afford them and one at a time sets you up that eventually, if you can afford the surgery, you've already got all the other things in place. That's the 8 treatments that you can have for lipedema as it stands right now in our current time frame of 2025. I would say there will be more things coming as time goes by. There's a few things there that I've probably missed out, things like vibration plates, but these 8 are the ones that I've found in the Fat Resources Society pages, the Lipedema Simplified. These are the ones that the heavy hitters in the lipedema world actually believe contribute to improving lipedema or stopping it from getting worse. So that's why I've stuck with those 8. And as time goes by for me, I will continue to work on each one of those as well. Let me know which ones you've done and have they moved the dial for you? Have they made a difference? And what are you hoping to try next?